In this video, I want to walk you through the best ways that you can use Teams inside of ClickUp. And so you may not even use Teams before. It's not often a feature that a lot of people take advantage of. But what Teams are is essentially a way for you to group together a bunch of assignees into one sort of grouping or team. And so we'll kind of walk through the best ways of using it and how to actually go ahead and set those up. And so in terms of where to find teams, depending on your ClickUp permissions that you have in your workspace, you'll come here to the top right, and I'm going to go to my settings just like that, and then I'm going to see teams directly over here like that. So now I need to go ahead and click teams there, and you'll see we have a bunch of different teams already set up for us. But so teams allow me to basically say, hey, I have a marketing team, a sales team, a delivery team, operations team, and I can basically take all the people that are in that marketing team and put them into one group. And so I'll show you how to actually do that and use it. So I'll come here to go ahead and create team. Again, let's say that this is going to be the marketing team, just like that. I'll go ahead and click enter. As you can see, there's 0 members right now. But so what I want to do is go over to the far right, just like this, and go to my add members button right there. So I'll click on that now and select whoever is in my marketing team. So let's say it's myself. Let's say it's Kuba here. Let's say it's also Gray. And so I'll select all of those different people. And as you can see, now I've built a team here for marketing. And you'll also notice here, you also have this alias. So basically what that means is instead of me having to @mention myself, Kuba, and Gray, I can just @mention marketing, and that's going to notify all of those people within the marketing team. So again, make your teams depending on how that makes sense. So maybe it's a growth team with both your sales and marketing in there, but sometimes it's helpful to split that up. Maybe it's your operations team, delivery, whatever it may be, build those teams because now we can use it in a lot of different ways. So the first best way to use this is going to be for communication. So if I'm trying to communicate with a bunch of different people, let's say I'm working on some sort of growth task here, let's plan out the website pricing page, I'll come here, and what I can do is essentially I can come here, instead of @mentioning all those 3 different people, I can just say, hey, @marketing, let's notify all these people. Are we working on this or not? And so then I can leave that comment. Essentially what that does, instead of, again, me having to @mention a bunch of different people, all those people will now be notified, and now I have the whole marketing team notified within that one specific text. So it's very easy for me to just save a little bit of time there by building those teams for communication specifically. And so now the other great way to use this in terms of how I love to use it is in filters for specifically dashboards, or if you're managing that team as well, you can use it for filters in views. But what I can do is essentially if I come to my dashboards here, let's say I have one set up for team performance. If I come to all of these different widgets, and essentially this is my management dashboard where I'm looking at sort of the work that's been planned, what we've actually finished, so on and so forth. I have a nice dashboard set up with all the information in here. But what I can do is most often if I want to just see the work that's assigned to my specific team, let's say if I'm managing the marketing team, I would have to go ahead and into these settings, I would have to select all 3 of those different assignees. So I could select myself, again I could select Kuba, and I could go ahead and select Gray just like that. But instead of me having to do that, what I could do is just, let's get rid of all of these. And I can come down here and you'll see at the bottom, we have our teams. So now I can just select the whole marketing team. I can go ahead and save that. And now what that's going to do is it's going to basically group together those 3 different users as assignees instead of me having to do all that additional work. So it makes it way easier for me to just use that for things like filters. Again, if I were to come up here, not every single of these widgets will be able to use the universal filters in dashboards. But again, if you wanted to and just say, hey, only show where the assignee is these specific people on the marketing team, I'd be able to do that to make it a little bit easier for me within this dashboard. So there's not anything crazy to use Teams for. The one big thing that I would not use it for, which is what most often people will use it for, is at ZenPilot, we are big believers in not assigning work to multiple people. The reason for that is because if I come here to show you an example, is if I come and I have a task that's assigned to multiple different people, maybe this is a blog post, what that does is each person is not actually sure what they are in charge of on this task, because all it tells them is that they have to do something on the blog post. And so people do this, they assign it to a bunch of different people. What that does is it makes it so workload gets split up amongst those people. No one's really sure who's in charge of this, and we're not able to track progress of this task. So don't go ahead and start assigning tasks to those teams like this, because again, that's going to assign this to 3 different people. I don't necessarily want to do that. I would much rather have this split up. If this work is happening across my marketing team, I'd rather have that be like this, where I have subtasks underneath it, and that work is passing from person to person to person with those more specific subtasks of this is what you are in charge of in this specific workflow. You're not just doing the blog post, you're the one that's in charge of actually writing it out, or in charge of publishing it, or in charge of reviewing it. Whatever it may be, don't use the teams to assign a task to multiple people. That's how work falls through the cracks. That's how people get confused. That's how people get the task closing anxiety too, because they're like, I don't know if I can actually close this because I'm not sure if you completed your part. You're really going to rely heavily on communication and statuses and things like that. Build out your workflows. Use Teams for leaving comments and using it for filters in dashboards and views. Do not use it to assign a task to multiple people. That is not going to help you. So that's a little overview about Teams and how we use it at ZenPilot. If you have any questions about that, please go leave those in the comments below and we'll get right back to you. Otherwise, hopefully this was a helpful tutorial. If you want to, I'll also leave in the description our 50+ page how to use ClickUp guide. So if you are trying to implement ClickUp or use ClickUp, we have a lot of great information in terms of the implementation, how you can communicate with your team, how to use statuses, so on and so forth in that guide. I'll put it in the description below. Highly recommend you go ahead and download that so that you can start using ClickUp better for your team to build a more productive, profitable, and healthy organization. And with that, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.